In response to the Trump administration, there have been an innumerable amount of marches and rallies. So many. No kings, sometimes called no tyrants, ice out general strikes, in support of immigrants who are being taken and detained, oftentimes unlawfully. Marches and rallies are great as forms of protest. They are actions that demonstrate force and solidarity at a particular point in time. I've participated in quite a few in my time as well. I've organized for many. But to make long-term change, the action has to be ongoing. And that means you can't march or rally every day. It's not sustainable. You have to switch it up. Hi, my name is Atima Omara, and I'm an American political strategist, advocate, business owner, and author of my very first book, The Instigators, How Black Women Have Been Essential to American Democracy and What We Can Learn from Them. It'll be published in May 5th of 2026, out from HarperCollins. One of the things I've learned throughout my career in US politics and advocacy work is how long it takes to make transformational change in societies, even in democracy. When it comes to politics, policy, culture, people have gone their whole lives supporting a cause and never seen the day victory is won. I think of instigator and suffragist Mary Church Terrell, who as an educator marched and organized for voting rights for Black people and died 11 years before the Voting Rights Act passed that would have enfranchised all Black people in the United States finally. Martin Luther King's speech he gave, "I've been to the mountaintop," a day before he was assassinated, is now considered quite haunting because in that speech he admits that he doesn't believe that he'll get to the mountaintop and see some of the gains for which he continued to fight at that point. With so many new people coming out to marches and rallies in the United States and even around the world, there's just so much civil unrest and uprisings in support of freedom and democracy, that to make real political and policy change, you should understand that marches and rallies are not the sum total of the work. In researching my book, The Instigators, I saw lots of great examples of Black women across US history that demonstrate this. I always return to the 1960s civil rights movement often because it's such a great example of so many people who were not activists, who didn't work for major activist organizations, were business owners, had regular jobs, got up and came home after work and took care of their family, went to church, and that's it. But one example that really highlights this is Women Power Unlimited organization, founded by Claire Collins Harvey and Aurelia Young in Mississippi. The organization got its start due to a group of multiracial activists who were making a name for themselves traveling throughout the South in the early 60s, protesting segregation. They were called Freedom Riders, and they were protesting racial segregation on public buses traveling through the American South. And when they arrived, of course, at a bus station in Jackson, Mississippi, which is the Deep South, many of the riders were arrested and sentenced to 2 months in prison. And Claire Collins Harvey, who was a young Black business owner, living her life, minding her business, going to church on Sunday, volunteering a little bit, but she'd been paying attention to these protests. So when she noticed the trials and she watched them, she noticed that they were improperly clothed, a lot of these young activists, when they were standing trial. And that was because their belongings had been taken from them when they were detained. So Women Power Unlimited came out of that. A group of local women, business owners, they provided emotional and some material support for these folks. Clothes and toiletries, whatever they needed to get through their incarceration. And after these folks left their prison, they continued to provide food and even housing if folks were staying in that area before they headed home. Many of them were hundreds of miles away from home. Seeing Women Power Unlimited expanded to providing voter registration and youth education for Black people. And when many more activists returned or came back in 1964 in what they call Freedom Summer, which was a major effort to register a lot more Black people in Mississippi, Women Power Unlimited sprung into action again, providing housing, food, volunteers, even organizing capacity, anything they can do to support these activists and their work. And so what you see in Minnesota or Los Angeles or Chicago, Washington, D.C., where people are buying groceries for immigrants, afraid to leave their homes, or helping take care of children, getting them to and from school so they aren't kidnapped, fundraisers to support people's legal defense, making food for volunteers, donating services from their business if they're a business owner. This work, this community care and collective action has its roots in the work of Black women in this country, instigators. like Claire and Aurelia, that isn't just marching and protesting. They say Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And that applies to working for long-term change. These women show us, Black women show up, these instigators, is that marching and protesting are just only a fraction of the work. So what do you do when that's not the case to keep the movement going? So I ask, what do you think you can do for your community right now? Whether that's pack groceries, donate food, clothing, shelter, if you're a business owner, maybe there's a service your business can provide, or resources. Think about it. And if you're interested in learning more, check out my book. You can pre-order it, The Instigators.